Well, good morning. Yes, having struggles here with the video. I think we're getting it all figured out finally, and I've heard from some of you that the sound quality has been really weak, so we've tried to bump that up as well. We'll get there eventually. But as we move into today, January 4th, I think we're at a time where kind of vacations are over, maybe, for you. The holidays are ending and kids are getting back to school. I hope that's the case for all of you. I know our family has kind of all gone back home, and now here we are in January in 2012 moving ahead. I wondered if you got a chance yesterday to read Heather's piece. I did have to chuckle as I saw her reference to Noah and what they don't teach you in Sunday school. I must admit, I don't remember hearing that part of the Noah story in Sunday school either. But when Heather reminded us that God remembers us, I really related to that, as over the last several months in my own life, I said goodbye to my mom as she went to be with the Lord in heaven, sold my dad's home, moved him from Arkansas to Florida, and made it back home safe and sound. And through it all, God was with me, and He continues to this day, filling that emptiness in my heart with wonderful memories and being there for me. During that time and continuing on now, there have also been so many thoughtful family and friends, many of you as a matter of fact, who have been part of His support for me during this time. But that being said, let's move forward. And today we continue in Genesis. We kind of move from that primeval period into what's called the period of the patriarchs, the early fathers of God's people. And we have seen up to this point how God has already been involved in the affairs of mankind, from Adam and Eve and their fall into sin, to the wickedness of the people during Noah's time. And now we come to this account in Genesis chapter 11 where the people are trying to build a tower all the way to heaven, attempting, as verse 4 says, to make a name for themselves. This happens not only throughout the Bible, but through all of history, and in reality, still today. We all at times find ourselves looking and being motivated by our own self-interest. I think in many respects God intervenes on our behalf, though we think He is some sort of killjoy who's spoiling our fun or just bossing us around. In reality, He is a loving God, and He does intervene. He saves us from ourselves in reality. I think God knows the ultimate destruction that awaits us and that we would bring on ourselves if we just kind of go our own way and try to build ourselves up, promote ourselves, handle all our problems on our own. In verse 7, God says, "Come, let us go down there and confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech." God then scatters them over the face of the whole earth. And from that time on, it's been nation against nation and kingdom against kingdom. In fact, Jesus refers to that in Matthew 24, verse 7, where He says, "Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom." You know, it's really no wonder that organizations like the United Nations are unable to bring about peace among people of the world apart from God. God is telling us, "I'm in charge. Trust me." Now that seems simple. But it is very difficult for us to accept and to follow because of our sin nature. Interestingly, though, I was thinking also about the New Testament and in Acts chapter 2 at the day of Pentecost. Languages didn't get in the way that day, as Peter preaches the message of the mighty works of God in languages that everyone was able to hear according to what they speak. My takeaway from this is that when man seeks his own way apart from God, confusion and strife, wars and division reign supreme among people. The opposite is also true, that when man seeks after God and worships Him alone, language, skin color, economic status, and every other kind of difference is then overcome. Revelation 5 verse 9 says, the Lamb ransomed people of every tribe and language and nation and made them a kingdom and priests to our God. God overcomes all of our differences. He becomes that unifying force if we look to Him and trust in Him. Well, that's my first takeaway. Now we move on to the calling of Abram. God, as you know, tells him in our reading to take his family and go, and he goes. God says, trust me, and Abram does. The truth is, that same thing is true in our lives. God calls on us and sends us out as well. Now, the reality is for most of us, God does not cause us or ask us to make that kind of sacrifice. There are many in the world today who still are asked to be martyrs for the faith. But many times it's daily simple calls to respond to the needs of those around us, to love our families and our wives, to be patient and to proclaim His name in our workplace, in our home, in our community. Those are the kinds of calls on a daily basis that we get from God, I believe. And we're asked to trust Him and be ready when that call comes, whatever it is. God offers us opportunities every day to either trust Him or not, to be obedient or not. And in many cases, I think that's a scary thing. I don't know about you, but for me, to be able to place my life in God's hands and say, okay, I'm ready. Where do you want me to go? What do you want me to do? Who do you want me to talk to today? That's a little scary, and maybe that's part of the reason why we tend to seek our own way and think we can do it on our own. The reality is, thankfully, that history shows us that man is not going to get, we are not going to get in the way of God's plans. We're not going to thwart God's will. He will accomplish it. And we also know that when we stumble and fall, when we make bad decisions, that God is still with us, that He does not give up on us. He loves us with an everlasting love. He forgives us through the shed blood of Jesus on the cross. That's good news in the midst of our failures and our weakness. So for today, I know my prayer is that He would work in me today to walk with Him, that He would give me the courage and the strength to do that and to say yes to His call in my life, to do the work He gives me. And I really today pray that your day likewise is full of opportunities to follow and trust in God in whatever shape or way that takes. And God's blessings to you this day, and we'll look forward to talking to you again.